Hello, I'm Davina of sheepandstitch.com, and today we're going to talk about the Longtail Cast On. Now, the Longtail Cast On is awesome and super essential, and that's because it gives you a nice elastic edge. So if you're only going to learn one cast on, make that the Longtail Cast On. Alright, so let's get started. So, if you've done the easy cast on, you'll know that we really only need to make a slip knot like this with our yarn, and then we would cast on with this part of our yarn, so the yarn that's attached to our ball. That was the easy cast on, right? So we just did a loop, put it on our needle, did another loop, put that on our needle, and this yarn tail right here just kind of hung out. It didn't really do anything. Well, with the long tail, that's quite different. With the long tail, this part of our yarn right here plays a really big part in the cast on. It's actually part of our cast on. So we actually have to figure out how much yarn we need in order to cast on, right? So I'll show you what I mean. Say you need to cast on 12 stitches. So with the long tail, you might eyeball, some people might eyeball like, okay, 12 stitches, it'll take me maybe this much yarn to cast on. And that causes quite a bit of agony because sometimes you apportion too little yarn, and then you're, at 11 stitches and you don't have enough yarn. So that really sucks. So I'm going to show you a little hack that I use to figure out how much yarn I'm going to need to cast on with the Longtail Cast On. Okay, so let's say I need 12 stitches. What I would do is I'd take maybe like 4 inches of yarn here, just as kind of a cushion, and I would put it over my needle, and then I just start wrapping my yarn the number of times I need stitches. So if I need 12, I'm going to wrap my yarn around my needle 12 times. I've got one wrap here. I'm going to do another one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's 12, and I'm going to take my needle off this yarn. So I'm going to need about this much yarn to cast on 12 stitches with the Longtail Cast On. So I'll just, give myself maybe like a few more inches just in case. And so now I know that I'm going to make my slip knot right here. And that's going to give me enough yarn to cast on 12 stitches. All right, so let's start. We're just going to make a slip knot as with our easy cast on. We'll make a loop, bring our yarn tail end to the back, and then we're going to pull that loop through like that. So there is our slip knot. All right, so I'm going to take my needle and I'm just going to impale my knot like this, and I'm going to tighten it up. All right, now with the long tail, I actually want my long tail up front. So you'll see there are 2 threads here. One is facing me and one is in the back. So the one that's facing me is attached to my ball of yarn. No, I don't want that. I want my long tail facing me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take my stitch right off my needle, turn it around, and put it right back on my needle. So now you can see that the long tail is facing me, and the yarn attached to my ball is in the back, and that's exactly what I want. Cool, so now we can get started. Alright, so what we're going to need is our left hand, and we're going to start with these 2 fingers, so these 2 fingers. And what I'm going to do with these 2 fingers is I'm actually just going to clamp down on these 2 yarn threads like this. So not like a death grip, but like a pretty firm, grip on my 2 yarn threads like this. All right, so let's try that again. 2 fingers, clamp down on these 2 yarn threads. Let's do a better clamp down. And then I'm going to use my thumb and my forefinger to just push open these 2 yarn threads like that. Okay? And I'm going to take this finger and just kind of put it down on this stitch so it doesn't move around like this. All right, so 2 fingers, clamp down, thumb and forefinger, push open these 2 yarn threads, and then just move your hand around, just sort of back and forth like this, and get comfortable doing that. And that's why you need a pretty firm grip on these, because you don't want your hand to kind of slide down like that. That's not so good. Alright, so 2 fingers, clamp down, thumb and forefinger, push open these 2 stitches, or these 2 yarn threads, and move your hand around back and forth like this, and just get comfortable with this motion. Alright, and you'll see you get a bit of a diamond shape, just like that. Alright, so when you're comfortable with this motion, clamping, pushing open, and moving back and forth, then we can actually start casting on. Alright, So what we're going to do is, again, clamp down, open up our 2 threads, and I'm going to move my hand to the left like this, so that I can see the diamond shape and I can see these 2 yarn threads flowing through my fingers. All right, so I want my hand like this and not like this. All right, so we want it like this. All right, and then I'm going to take my needle, I'm going to touch it to my thumb and go through the loop on my thumb like that, and I'm going to turn my hand to the front, and I'm going to let my needle go through the second loop, and I'm going to bring it through the original loop on my thumb and pull down. So woohoo! There is our first cast on stitch with the Longtail Cast On. Pretty cool, huh? Alright, so let's do that again. 2 fingers on our left hand, clamp down on these 2 yarn threads, thumb and forefinger pushes open in a diamond shape, and I'm going to move my hand towards me so that these 2 yarn threads are flowing through my fingers, and I'm going to take my needle, touch it to my thumb, through the loop, turn my hand again through the second loop, and then back home through the original loop on my thumb, and we're going to pull down. So there is our third cast on stitch. Pretty cool. So we're just going to keep doing that until we get, the number of stitches cast on that we need. So there we go. So see, once you get comfortable with it, you can do it pretty quickly and get a pretty good rhythm on it. But of course, once you're starting, it's a little bit of, hand gymnastics. It's a little bit awkward. So just say it out loud, if you're having trouble with it, okay? So 2 fingers, clamp down, open up the yarn threads like this in a diamond shape, see the 2 threads flowing through your fingers, touch your thumb through the loop, turn your hand through the second loop, and then back through the original loop, pull down. Okay? So there you have it. That is the Longtail Cast On, and I hope it becomes part of your repertoire because you're really gonna need it. So there you have it, the Longtail Cast On. Now, if you enjoyed this video, then please like it and subscribe right here for more knitting and pattern tutorials. Okay, that's it for me. I'm Davina of sheepandstitch.com, and I'll catch you next time with another knitting video.